The sky above Terra 9 turned black with fire. Explosions cracked the silence of morning. A city once full of life was now a war zone. The peace treaty between humans and the Zalari had been broken overnight. No one knew who fired first, but one thing was certain. It wasn't just another skirmish. This was War. Captain Reese Walker sprinted across the broken battlefield, his breath ragged. Dust clouded the air. Behind him, his unit was scattered. Communications were down. He didn't know who was dead or alive. Then he saw her, lying among. The rubble was a creature that didn't look like the Zalari or any known enemy. She had orange fur, tall canine ears, a long tail, and her hands were bloodied. Her glowing eyes locked onto Reese, frightened, wild, but conscious. At first, he raised his weapon. Then she whispered in perfect human language, "Help me." Reese froze. An alien speaking English? His grip on the trigger loosened. The girl didn't look like a soldier. She was wounded, wearing strange armor, and her body trembled. "Who are you?" he asked cautiously. She coughed. "They betrayed me. I'm not one of them." Another blast rocked the ground nearby. Reese didn't have time to question her further. He slung his rifle and pulled her up. "You better be telling the truth." She nodded weakly. "My name is Kira. I'm not what you think." Reese dragged her through collapsed tunnels and broken metal doors. He took her to a half-destroyed bunker. Inside, it was barely safe. The lights flickered. The air smelled like oil and plasma burns. Kira lay down, breathing hard. Her wound was deep, a slash across her ribs. Reese tore open a medkit and treated her quickly, pressing nanogulls and sealing foam onto the gash. "You're lucky I found you," he muttered. Kira's eyes opened slowly. "No, you're the lucky one," Reese frowned. "Why?" She didn't answer. She just smiled. 3 days later, the bunker remained hidden. Outside, the war was still raging. Reese stayed off comms and moved supplies at night. But each day, Kira grew stronger. And stranger. She didn't eat standard rations only. Raw meat, which disturbed Reese. Her senses were sharper than any human's. Once, she heard a drone coming before it even showed on radar. And every night, she'd go to the door and listen, tail twitching, as if something ancient inside her was waiting. "You're not human," Reese finally said. "No," she replied. "But I'm not like the Zalari either." He leaned forward. "Then what are you?" She looked down, then met his eyes. "A hybrid. My father was a Zenthari. My mother was ... something else. I ran when they tried to use me." "Use you how?" Kira hesitated. "For breeding." Reese blinked. "What?" She looked away. "The Zalari wanted to force me to carry a generation of soldiers, my kind. Has certain traits they value." Reese stayed silent, letting the words sink in. The war, the betrayals, the experiments, it was all tied together. That night, as Reese checked the sensors, Kira approached. Her fur was clean, her wounds mostly healed. But her eyes glowed brighter than before. "I need to tell you something," she said. Reese turned. "What?" She stepped close, placing a hand on her belly. Her ears flicked nervously. "You should prepare, human," she whispered. Reese raised an eyebrow. "For what?" Kira smiled, her tail slowly curling around his leg. "We're having puppies." Reese stared at Kira in silence. He thought he misheard her. His brain tried to process the words again. "Where?" "What?" Kira nodded, her voice calm. "You heard me. I'm pregnant with your offspring." Reese stepped back. "That's impossible." We never." Kira's tail twitched once. Her voice was soft but serious. "Our bodies didn't need contact in the way you think. Zenthari hybrids can absorb genetic material through skin. Even a blood transfer can be enough," Reese remembered. 3 nights ago, during her treatment, she had bled heavily. He applied pressure with his bare hands. His fingers were cut from debris. Blood touched blood. That's insane. He whispered. It's science, she replied. Reese shook his head, pacing the room. You're telling me I touched your wound and now you're having my kids? Puppies, she corrected. Technically a litter. Maybe 5, maybe 7, Reese stopped. This is not normal. Kira tilted her head. Neither am I. Outside the bunker, the battlefield wasn't quiet anymore. Enemy patrols had begun scanning the ruins nearby. Reese watched the motion sensors blink red on his panel. The Zalari were looking for something or someone. Is this because of you? Reese asked. Kira stood beside him, her ears alert. Yes. I escaped their breeding compound. They want me back. And now they'll want our puppies too? She nodded. They would take them. Experiment on them. Use them as weapons. Reese cursed under his breath. Then we can't stay here. We can't run either. Not yet, she said. Why? She placed his hand over her stomach. Because they're already forming. Rapid growth. I can't move fast. Reese's hand stayed there for a second longer than he meant it to. He pulled it back, awkward. How long? 5 days. Reese's eyes widened. 5 days? You grow a whole litter in 5 days? Kira gave a weak smile. I told you, I'm not like humans. Day 1 of countdown. Reese began fortifying. The bunker. Traps, auto turrets, signal scramblers, he used everything in his toolkit. He even sent out a false transmission to make it seem like the location was abandoned. Kira helped when she could. Her strength was returning, but her belly had already started to swell. Her reflexes were slower now. Her balance was changing. No, Reese muttered while working. This isn't exactly how I imagined parenthood. Kira chuckled. You imagined it? I mean, not like this. You don't seem angry. Reese looked at her. I'm not sure what I feel, but I don't abandon people. Or whatever we're calling you now. Her eyes softened. Then you're stronger than most. That night Kira couldn't sleep. Reese noticed her pacing the floor. What's wrong? She hesitated. Something's wrong with one of them. Reese stood. You can tell? Kira nodded. 1 heartbeat. It's weaker. Without thinking, Reese went to her. He placed his hand on her belly again. A warmth pulsed against his palm. I can't lose any of them, she said. They're my only family now. You won't, he said firmly. Not while I'm alive. She leaned into him, her body trembling. You're not like the others. Reese didn't reply. But in that moment, he knew he was already too deep to walk away. Day 2 drones flew closer. Zalari scout teams began dropping markers near the hills. Reese knew it was only a matter of time before they pinpointed the bunker. He adjusted the perimeter. Defenses, moved supplies closer, and sharpened his knives. If they were going to come, he'd be ready. Inside, Kira meditated. She said it helped the pups grow stronger. Her fur shimmered in the low light, and her body seemed to hum with soft energy. I can feel them dreaming, she whispered. Reese stared at her. Dreaming? Already? Yes. One of them dreams of running. Another one sees you. Me? She looked at him. You're already part of them, Reese. But outside, danger was getting closer, and Reese had a gut feeling. This wasn't just about the puppies anymore. Something bigger was coming. Something that would force Reese to face not just a fight, but a choice. Asterisk. The morning of the 3rd day began with silence. Too much silence. Reese stood outside the bunker, watching the horizon through his scope. The hills were still, the dust in the air unmoving. But his instinct screamed. There. Coming today, he muttered. Inside, Kira sat cross-legged on a floor mat, both hands gently holding her swollen belly. Her fur had darkened slightly. Something she said was a natural sign of protection instinct activating. Her eyes looked calm, but her tail never stopped flicking. She felt it too. The Zellery don't like to wait, she said softly. Reese checked his rifle. Then let them come. A secret revealed as Reese reinforced the last auto turret. Kira called out, "Reese, there's something you must know about." "The bloodline," he turned to her. "You said you were hybrid." "Yes," she replied, "but I didn't tell you what kind." She stood slowly, her form a little less steady than before. Her voice became serious. "My mother was from an ancient race. Not just alien, not just animal. She belonged to the Kalari." Reese blinked. "Never heard of them." "You wouldn't. They erased themselves from history. Powerful, instinctive, telepathic, but peaceful. They only passed on their gifts to daughters. Until now." Reese's brows furrowed. "What does that mean?" She stepped closer. "It means our litter won't just be hybrids. They'll carry a dormant Kalari trait. If the Zellery get them, they could create the most dangerous soldiers in the galaxy." Reese felt his chest tighten. "So that's why they're hunting you so hard." "Yes," she said, "and why we must protect them, at all costs." Tensions rising later that day, one of the traps triggered. An explosion rocked the outside entrance. Reese rushed to the screen. The turret cam showed 3 Zellery scouts dead, but one had dropped a beacon. It blinked red every 2 seconds. "They've marked us," he said. "A full force will follow soon." Kira stood slowly, gritting her teeth. "Then we fight. You can't. I can." Reese didn't argue. He knew better by now. She wasn't just carrying puppies. She was a warrior bred through pain, survival, and sacrifice. Still, she couldn't fight like before. She'd be slower. And the Zellery wouldn't show mercy. Preparing for battle, Reese laid out weapons. Mines, plasma blades. A flamethrower. Old tech mixed with new tricks. He handed Kira a compact blaster modified for claw grip. "This might not hold forever," he said. Kira smiled faintly. "Then we hold long enough." They sealed the bunker and moved to defensive positions. The heartbeat sensor pulsed slowly in the corner. 7 heartbeats. Just like Kira said, the pups were alive. Growing. Kira closed her eyes, breathing deeply. "They're afraid." Reese looked at her. "I can feel it," she continued. "They feel the danger too. Then we'll make sure they're born free." Sundown. First contact at sunset. The Zellery came, 12 soldiers. 2 light mechs. 1 commander. The commander stood taller than the rest, scaled armor, no helmet, and a metal jaw. He spoke through a translator unit. "Return the hybrid and the rest of you may live." Reese stood atop the bunker with his rifle. "You want her? Come take her." The commander's eyes glowed red. "Foolish human. You have no idea what she carries," Reese smirked. "I know exactly what she carries." He fired. The first shot hit the mech sensor node. The second exploded a fuel canister nearby. Chaos broke loose. Turrets fired. Mines detonated. Screams echoed. But still, more came. Inside the bunker, Kira stood behind reinforced plating, watching Reese fight outside. Her claws itched to help. But she knew her first duty now was not to war. It was to protect life. One of the walls shuddered. A Zellery soldier breached the back corridor. Kira turned instantly. Her eyes flared bright white. The air pulsed. In seconds, she leapt forward and slashed him down with one clean strike. Her strength hadn't faded, it had only changed. "Touch them," she growled, "and die." She locked the door again, blood dripping from her claws. Outside. Reese was losing ground. He dropped behind a wall, panting. His arm was cut. His ammo was low. Another mech stomped toward him. Then Kira's voice echoed in his ear through the comms. "You are not alone." The ground beneath the mech burst open. Kira had triggered the last trap, a buried anti-mech spike. The machine collapsed in flames. Reese laughed, despite the blood on his face. Remind me never to mess with a pregnant alien again. But the final wave was coming, and this time, the Zalari weren't holding back. The wind outside howled with smoke and fire. Captain Reese Walker wiped blood from his face as he slammed another power cell into his rifle. His arms ached, his vision was blurry, but he stood, still breathing, still fighting. Inside the bunker, Kira knelt quietly, her hands resting over her round belly. Her eyes were closed, her breathing sharp. The pups inside her were almost ready. They're coming early, she whispered. Reese limped into the room. What? She opened her eyes. The stress, it's pushing them out. I can feel it, Reese cursed. Can you hold on? A little longer? I don't think so, she said. They want to live. They're ready. Reese grabbed a nearby medpack and set it down beside her. Then I'll make sure they get that chance. Enemy at the door. Another blast shook the walls. The final Zalari unit had arrived, 6 heavy soldiers and 1 elite commander. This one was different. He was covered in advanced armor. His voice scrambled through layers of synthetic tones. Human. The voice rang through a speaker. You are surrounded. You have no escape. Reese growled. Then I guess this is where we make history. The enemy began cutting through the main entrance. Sparks flew. Reese set the last of the explosives on the inner wall and backed up, rifle in hand. Behind him, Kira gasped. She doubled over, her claws digging into the floor. It's time, she whispered. Battle and birth. The metal door burst open. Zalari. Soldiers rushed in. Reese opened fire, screaming as he dropped 1, then 2. He ducked, rolled, threw a plasma charge, detonating a corner of the room. Flames roared. A bolt slammed into his shoulder. He hit the ground hard. Reese! Kira shouted. She forced herself up, breathing hard, sweat matting her fur. Her body glowed with strange energy. The Kelari instincts were fully awake now. Kira stepped in front of Reese, claws out, eyes burning with primal light. You will not touch them, she roared. The Zalari hesitated. And that hesitation cost them everything. Kira lunged forward like a streak of fire, slashing, dodging, leaping. She didn't fight like a soldier. She fought like a creature possessed. Reese, bleeding, dragged himself to the corner and reached for his backup blaster. He watched her move with power that made no sense. She was pregnant, exhausted, and still faster than anything he'd ever seen. Then, finally, all went quiet. The last enemy fell. The room smelled like fire, metal, and blood. Kira stumbled back toward Reese, panting. But she was smiling. They're coming, she said. Now. The bunker delivery. Reese barely had the strength to help. But he crawled to Kira's side and held her hand as she laid down, trembling. It's okay, whispered. I'm here. Tears streamed from her glowing eyes. You saved me, saved them. And then soft cries, 1, then 2. Then more. The bunker echoed with the strange, beautiful sound of life. Puppies, alien-human hybrids. Tiny, fur-covered beings with small glowing eyes, each heartbeat steady, each breath warm. Reese looked down, stunned. They were real. I don't believe it, he muttered. You better, Kira smiled weakly, because you're their father. A silent moment. For the first time in days, everything was still. Reese held one of the pups, small, warm, purring softly. It curled in his arms like it knew him already. Kira watched with quiet pride. They already recognize your scent. Reese smiled faintly. I guess that makes me a dad. You're more than that now, she said. You're their protector. Their pack. But peace doesn't last long. From a distance, a new signal flared on the radar. A different kind of ship, bigger, stronger. Kira's ears twitched. That's not Zalari. Reese stood up quickly. Who then? Her face hardened. My father's people. Asterisk, the newborns were quiet now, curled against Kira's side in the warmth of blankets and soft cloth Reese had scavenged. Their tiny bodies pulsed with life, glowing softly with faint Kalari energy. But outside, the sky had changed. A shadow passed over the land. A massive triangular ship hovered silently above the ridge. It didn't look like Zalari, tech sleek, silver, and humming with blue light. No weapons were visible. No engines roared. It simply floated there, like it was watching. Reese narrowed his eyes at the radar. This isn't enemy design. Kira nodded slowly. No, it's worse. The truth of the calories turned to her. You said your mother was one of them. Yes, Kira whispered. And they don't believe in weakness. Reese frowned. So why are they here now? Kira gently stroked one of her pups. They must have sensed the birth. The energy surge from the Kalari genes, it echoes across space. My children. Called to them without meaning to. Reese's jaw tightened. What do they want? Kira hesitated. To take the pups. Reese stood. Like the Zalari? No, she said. The Kalari do not torture or enslave. But they also don't allow their bloodline to mix with others. Reese's stomach dropped. So, they'll kill them? No, Kira said sadly. They'll raise them as Kalari. Erase their human side. Erase you. The landing from the hovering ship, a smaller vessel detached and glided down. It landed just a few meters outside the bunker, making no sound. Its surface shimmered like liquid glass. The door opened slowly. Out stepped a tall, silver-cloaked figure. He didn't wear armor. He didn't carry weapons. But his presence was heavier than any soldier Reese had faced. His skin was pale silver, his eyes glowing like stars. His voice echoed without speaking. Child of Kili, you have awakened the blood. Kira stood, holding one of the pups close. I am no longer one of you, father. Reese's eyes widened. That's your father? The figure nodded slightly. You have bonded with a human. Spread Kalari life into impure form. This is not allowed. Reese stepped forward. They're not impure. They're alive. And they're mine. The Kalari elder tilted his head. You are mortal, short-lived. You cannot protect what you do not understand. I don't need to understand magic or glowing eyes, Reese said. I just need to keep them safe. That's enough. The Kalari's tone remained calm. The children must come with us. You may live if you accept this. Kira growled, her claws flexing. I will not surrender my pups. Not to you, not to anyone. A line in the sand. Reese raised his rifle. The Kalari elder didn't move. I've fought aliens, monsters, and metal giants. I've buried friends and burned enemies. If you want to take my family, you'll have to kill me. For the first time, the elder's glow dimmed. He looked at Kira. This is your bond? Yes, she replied. And he is stronger than. You know. A moment passed. Then the elder said softly, We will return in one rotation of your son. If the children remain, we will take them. He turned and disappeared back into the ship. The vessel lifted off without a sound. Reese turned to Kira. You knew this might happen, didn't you? Kira looked away. I hoped they would never find us. What do we do now? He asked. Kira's voice was quiet but firm. We prepare. For war? He asked. No, she said. For choice. Later that night, Reese sat near the pups. One of them, his favorite, crawled into his lap and yawned. Tiny teeth. Tiny glowing eyes. But full of life. They want to erase me from them, he whispered to the dark. He looked at Kira, who watched silently from the shadows. "They can't," she said. "Because you're already part of them." Reese nodded. "Then we make a stand." The sun rose slowly over the broken land. Inside the bunker, time felt heavy. Every second ticked louder. The Kalari had given one rotation 24 hours before they returned to take the hybrid pups away. Reese hadn't slept. He sat sharpening a blade that he probably wouldn't use. Not against the Kalari. They were faster, stronger, smarter. But he had to do something. He couldn't just sit and wait. Across the room, Kira held her pups close. Their soft whimpers and glowing eyes gave her strength, but also fear. What if she couldn't protect them? What if her father returned with an army? "You don't have to stay," she said to Reese. He looked up. "What?" She kept her eyes on the little ones. "They want me and the pups, not you. You could leave, disappear. They won't follow." Reese stood up slowly. "And abandon my children?" "Abandon you? I'm not giving you a way out," she said. "I'm warning you what might come." Reese walked over and knelt beside her. He gently touched the soft fur of the smallest pup. "I've made my choice, Kira, a long time ago. I don't run." She smiled, tears in her glowing eyes. Preparing for the worst, Reese spent the next hours turning the bunker into a fortress again. He rewired traps, checked energy cells, reinforced the ceiling, and built a fallback chamber for Kira and the pups, deep in the ground. But Kira did more than wait. She meditated as she sat in silence. Her Kalari powers strengthened. Her fur shimmered, and a faint pulse surrounded her, an energy field that even Reese could feel. She said nothing about it, but Reese knew. If it came to a fight, she would use every last bit of herself to protect their children. They came before the sun fell. The Kalari ship returned. This time, it was not quiet. It descended like thunder blew. Fire pouring from its engines, lighting the sky like a second sun. The land trembled. Reese grabbed his rifle. Kira stood with her pups behind her. None of them cried. Somehow they understood. The elder stepped out again. But he wasn't alone. 10 more Kalari walked behind him, silent, glowing, each one powerful. The elder raised his hand. "Time is finished. The choice must be made." Reese stepped forward, heart pounding. "We made our choice." The elder tilted his head. "Then you force us to act." He stepped closer. The other Kalari followed, but Kira moved 2 dots. She stood between the pups and her father, her fur glowing bright, her body tense. "You taught me to protect life," she said. "Now I protect my children." "They do not belong here," the elder said. "You know this." "I don't care," she growled. The elder's eyes narrowed. "Then I will erase the bloodline, starting with the human." He lifted a hand. Reese didn't wait. He raised his blaster and fired. The shot didn't hit. The elder blocked it with one glowing finger, but it was enough. The Kalari warriors moved forward. Kira unleashed her power waves of blue energy, knocking them back. The earth shook. The sky flashed. The battle had begun. But something happened as the Kalari warriors charged. One of the pups let out a loud, high-pitched cry. Everything froze. The cry turned into a strange sound, a vibration. Reese felt it in his chest. The Kalari stopped moving. The pup floated upward, surrounded in light. Even Kira looked shocked. "No, that's not supposed to happen yet." Reese shouted, "What's going on?" Kira's voice shook. "He's connecting." The light from the pup spread outward, touched the Kalari, touched Reese, touched everything. And then for a moment, everyone saw what the pup saw. A future. Not war, not death, but peace. The pup glowed brighter, then dropped gently into Kira's arms, asleep. The elder fell to his knees. He looked at the child. "It's true," he whispered. "They are more than either of us." Reese lowered his weapon. So what now? The elder stood slowly. Now I return alone. But before leaving, he gave a warning. Others will come. Not Zalari, not Kalari, but those who smell power. Be ready. And then the ship vanished into the sky. Inside the bunker, Reese held his pups. Kira rested nearby. The air felt different now, like something bigger had started. What was that? Reese asked. Kira answered softly, hope, but also a warning. Our family isn't just rare. It's dangerous and beautiful. Reese nodded. Then we protect it, together. 2 days passed. The sky above Terra 9 returned to silence. The Kalari ship had vanished. No Zalari troops had been seen. The warfront had moved elsewhere, but Reese Walker didn't relax. Neither did Kira. They both knew peace was never permanent, especially not for a hybrid family like theirs. The pups grew fast. In just 2 days, they were already walking wobbly. Soft-footed, curious. Their eyes glowed in different colors. Their fur changed shades with their moods. And they learned quickly. Too quickly. Kira watched them with love, but also with fear. They're evolving faster than expected, she told Reese. Their minds are already sensing things. Sensing what? He asked. Trouble. Trouble. Came that night. A noise echoed outside the bunker, deep, sharp, unnatural. Not a machine, not a ship. A howl. Kira froze. Reese rushed to the sensor screen. What the hell is that? The radar showed no signature, no life form. No heat, yet something. Moved just beyond the hills. Something massive. Kira's eyes widened. I know that sound. Reese looked at her. What is it? She whispered, the collectors. The hidden enemy. Kira explained as fast as she could. The collectors weren't part of any empire. They were older, silent, always watching. They appeared after major wars sweeping up rare creatures, powerful genes, hybrid offspring. They didn't fight in battles. They waited until everyone else was weak. Then they hunted. Reese tightened his jaw. So they're coming for the pups? Kira nodded. Yes, they harvest bloodlines. For cloning, for control. They don't care about species. Only value. Reese grabbed his gear. Then we leave. Now. The escape begins. Reese packed everything: supplies, weapons, medkits, food. Kira gathered the pups in a sling across her chest and back. Can you travel? He asked. Yes, she said. But we have to move fast. And stay low. They exited through a hidden tunnel Reese had built weeks ago. The path led beneath the ridge, past collapsed ruins, and into the old wastelands where no signal could track them. The sky was dark, the wind cold. But they moved, step by step, hour by hour. But the collectors were already watching. One of the pups turned its head and pointed into the distance. No words, just a sound like a warning. Then Reese saw it, a floating sphere, black, silent. Watching from behind a cracked stone wall, he aimed his rifle and fired. The sphere burst, but not before blinking 3 times in the air. A signal had been sent. They know where we are, Reese growled. Kira looked down. They've marked us. The first encounter just before sunrise, they found shelter in an old cargo wreck. Metal bones of a forgotten transport ship. It was quiet inside. Cold. Reese set traps at every entrance. He kept his rifle in his lap. His eyes didn't close once. Then he saw it. A figure, tall, thin, cloaked in shadows, stood outside the broken window. It didn't walk. It glided. Its face was not a face, just a mask of glass and shifting symbols. Reese stood slowly, aiming his weapon. But the being didn't move. It simply raised one long hand and pointed at the pups. Kira stepped between it and her children. You will not take them. The being didn't speak. Instead, its hand lit up and suddenly, Reese couldn't move. He was frozen in place, trapped. Pups cried. Kira screamed out, and then one of the pups glowed, brighter than ever before. A shockwave burst from the smallest one. The air cracked like glass. The collector was thrown backward through the air. Reese dropped to the ground, free again. What was that? He gasped. Keir stared at her pup, trembling. They've awakened something deeper, ancient. They were no longer just running, they were being hunted, but the pups were changing, and the collectors were not the only ones who noticed. From deep space, a new signal stirred. The next morning, the wind over the wasteland carried static, soft, unnatural. Reese stood outside the broken cargo ship, watching the horizon. Kira sat inside, gently feeding one of the pups while the others napped in a tight ball of warm fur. Their breathing was slow. But something about them had changed. They no longer felt like children. They felt like something more. The signal came from the sky. A sharp beep 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 broke through Reese's wrist. The device hadn't picked up anything in days. Now it buzzed wildly with unknown symbols. Reese tapped the screen. This isn't military. Kira walked out slowly. It's not Kalari either. He turned the volume up. The signal became clear, strange sounds like layered voices. Alien, but familiar. Then one word repeated in perfect English. Awakened, awakened, awakened. Reese swallowed. Is it talking about the pups? Kira nodded. Yes, they triggered something. Cosmic something watching. A visitor arrives that night. A single pod descended from the stars. Not a collector ship. Not a Kalari craft. This one glowed green and gold. It landed softly near the wreck without fire or force. Its door hissed open. A woman stepped out. She was tall, cloaked in shining robes. Her skin shimmered like starlight. Her eyes held galaxies inside them. She was no alien Reese had seen. Kira whispered, "That's a watcher." Reese frowned. "What's a watcher?" Kira stepped back, cautious. They come when balance is broken in the universe. When new power is born, or when it becomes dangerous. The watcher spoke. Her voice was calm, but echoed across the ground. "I am Saralin of the 9th orbit. I have come to witness the awakening." She looked at the pups. Her glowing eyes softened. They are not just children. They are the first link, the bridge between species, minds, and stars. Reese lowered his rifle but stayed alert. "Are you here to help?" Saralin answered, "Help. Or warn. That depends on you." The test of intention. She stepped closer and placed a hand gently on one pup's head. The fur sparked. The air pulsed. The universe has noticed them. If they grow with pain and hate, they could become tyrants. If they grow with love and unity, they could reshape life itself. Kira stepped forward. "Then we will raise them with love." Saralin looked at her. "And protect them from those who would twist their purpose?" Reese raised his voice. "We fought Zalari, Kalari, collectors, and we're still here. You think we won't protect them now?" The watcher smiled faintly. "Good. A gift and a warning." Zaralin held out a glowing crystal. "This is a beacon. It will call us if ever they are in danger beyond your reach." Kira took it. "And the warning?" Saralin's eyes darkened. The collectors were not acting alone. They are tools. Someone higher is watching. Someone ancient, a true enemy of life. Reese asked, "Then why haven't they attacked?" "Because they are patient," she said. "And because they now fear what you've made." Before leaving, Saralin turned to the pups. "They are not fully Kalari, not fully human. They are something new. You must give them more than safety. You must give them purpose." She turned to Kira. "And you must let go of fear." To Reese, she said, "and you must lead without pride." Then she vanished in a burst of light. Silence returned. Reese sat beside Kira, watching the pup sleep. "Do you believe all that?" he asked. Kira nodded. Every word. Reese took a deep breath. "Then we need to stop running." She looked at him. "And do what?" He stood up. "Train them." Because war wasn't coming anymore. It was already here. 2 weeks later. The ruins of Terra 9 were silent, but not empty. Hidden deep in the mountain forest, Reese Walker stood shirtless under a waterfall, steam rising from his skin. His muscles were worn, scarred, but still strong. He opened his eyes and looked beyond the trees where his family trained. Kira stood in the clearing, her fur tied in warrior braids. Beside her were 7 pups, now twice the size they had been, still children, but far more advanced than any normal creature. One climbed trees with ease. Another could lift large stones. One could track a scent through solid rock. But the smallest one, he moved minds. He could calm animals, bend noise, and whisper feelings Reese couldn't explain. They were still puppies. But they were also weapons. First lesson. Protect without. Kira crouched low, watching the pups tumble and spar. No biting to wound, she reminded them, only to stop. Never out of anger. The pups barked in response, short sounds that somehow carried words. Reese stepped into the clearing, tossing them a bag of food. Break time. They rushed him in a furry wave, tackling him with joy. He laughed as they licked his face and tugged at his clothes. "They love you," Kira said gently. He looked at her. "They're mine, of course they do." But peace never lasts that night. The stars dimmed. The Watcher's beacon glowed red. Kira and Reese rushed to it. A projection appeared, Saralyn's face, serious and urgent. "It has begun." "What has?" Reese asked. "The Ancient One has awakened. The true mind behind the collectors. It sees your pups as a threat and a prize." Reese's eyes narrowed. "Then let it come." "It already has," Saralyn said. "Prepare your pack. Your fight will decide what life becomes across the stars." They had one night left that evening. Kira and Reese sat with the pups by the fire. One by one they curled into the human's arms, soft, quiet, trusting. "I thought I was just a soldier," Reese said. "You still are," Kira smiled. "No," he whispered, "I'm a father." The final battle before sunrise. The Ancient One came. It wasn't a ship. It was a presence. The sky above Terra 9 cracked open with violet light. A creature like nothing they had seen appeared, black as void, with tendrils of energy, a face that shifted between forms. It didn't speak. It invaded minds. Reese dropped to one knee, gripping his head. "Kira!" Kira screamed, shielding the pups, but the smallest pup stood. And glowed. Like before, he released a pulse of raw, silent energy. A wall of pure instinct, love, unity. Defiance slammed into the Ancient One's force. The enemy recoiled. And then the entire pack stood. Their eyes locked, their energy sensed. They held. Together. It wasn't just power. It was family. The Ancient One tried to push again, but Kira stepped forward. Reese beside her. They didn't fight with weapons. They fought with connection. One by one, the pups released light, each with a different color. Together, they formed a circle, and in the center, Reese took Kira's hand. He looked at the monster in the sky and said one word: "No." The sky shattered like glass. And the Ancient One vanished. The silence after victory. The sun rose over a new world. The forest was quiet again. The wind was warm. The pups slept beside each other, breathing softly. Kira sat next to Reese. "It's over," she said. "For now," he replied. "But they'll come again." Kira looked at the glowing pups. "And when they do," he nodded, "we'll be ready." Far away in deep space, a voice echoed in the void. The hybrids survived. The humans protected them. The bond is unbroken. Dozen watchers listened. Then we must change how we see humans. Another voice replied, no, now we must fear them.